Welcome to our Delta Region Community Health Systems Development Programs, Capitalize on Your Capacity Training. I'm Robbie Nato, Senior Program Coordinator with the Delta CCC program. Before we get started with today's workshop, I'm going to go over just a few housekeeping items. If you haven't done so already, please connect your video feature by selecting the camera icon in the lower left corner of your screen. And to avoid any background noise or feedback, please remain muted when you are not speaking. To unmute your line, simply select the microphone icon in the lower left corner of your screen as well. We'll ask you to introduce yourself in just a few moments. We encourage questions and discussion, so please either unmute your line or utilize the chat box located in the bottom ribbon. We encourage the use of the phrase, "I'm complete," to indicate when you are finished speaking. And if you experience any technical issues today, please reach out to me in the chat box. I am happy to help. And finally, before we get going, actually, I already did that. The National Rural Health Resource Center the Center for short, is a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to sustaining and improving rural health care in rural communities. The center has served rural hospitals, clinics, and other providers nationwide for over 25 years in the following core areas: transition to value and population health, collaboration and partnership, performance improvement, health information technology, and workforce. The Delta Regional Authority, DRA, and Health Resources Services Administration's Federal Office of Rural Health Policy have partnered to support the Delta Region Community Health Systems Development Program. Through a cooperative agreement with the federal office, the center administers the program and manages the provision of services to selected hospitals and communities. Services are provided through technical assistance, which includes various assessments, on-site consultations, action planning, and coaching implementation of best practices and adoption of key transition strategies. Building a culture where difference is valued. The center is committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. We create an environment that reflects the communities we live in and serve, a place where everyone feels accepted and empowered to be their full, authentic selves, and where everyone belongs. And if you want to check out a little bit more about our DEI and anti-racism statement, we do have some more information on our website. Before we begin, I would like to launch some polling, and then I will turn it over to Hugh Life. So let me stop my screen share.
Get my screen up here. All right, welcome everyone. It's great to see so many of you back again for our next session, and some old but familiar faces that I haven't seen for a while, so welcome back. This is Capitalize on Your Capacity. So a little bit about what we are going to do today. Excuse me. So capitalizing on your capacity. So you're going to be introduced to this framework that will help you to both know and understand really who is in your community and what level you can expect them to contribute and to be involved. Today's session is really about understanding what drives people's motivation to engage and to commit their time, energy, and resources to a project, that initiative, or maybe some coalition work. But by understanding what motivates people to contribute and at what level of contribution is needed by an individual or group really helps to increase their engagement and minimize that frustration that groups might have. So our agenda today, it's gonna go quick. We're gonna have a lot of partner activities and small group discussion, but we're going to once again do some introductions and a quick overview. We're going to dive into some work by Simon Sinek, and my co-trainer here, Travis, will help you to really get you to understanding why it is that you do the work that you do. What is your purpose? Because when we really start to understand our why, we can start to align that with other people's personal missions and visions and align with their values and why, where we can start to see collaboration and partnership opportunities where maybe we hadn't even thought of before.
Yeah.
So we'll dive into that Simon Sinek, some partner activities, and you will have an opportunity to create your own why or impact statements. Okay. We'll take a break, and then we are going to dive into those circles of involvement. So here's where we start to really identify who are those individuals, those groups, of people that we have out in our communities that are involved at really the center of what we do, all the way out to who is in that circle of possibility, who we haven't ever considered or thought of as maybe allies or champions for our work, that we want to start to identify who those people are. So you'll have an opportunity to work with for our community champions, your supervisors, and starting to identify who those people are and at what level of involvement are they currently, and what does that mean for the work that you're doing? So that will bring us all the way to the end. And as always, we are going to start with some introductions because this is really all about building this community and this connections that we're all out there doing the great work, but you should have this great network of people to lean into. And so we want to continue to get to know each other. And we do have some people that will be new to you on the call. So we're going to go around and have you share your name and your role, and then just your favorite summer activity. So my name, for those of you that don't know me yet, is Megan Jacobson. I am a trainer and facilitator with the Hugh Life team. And my favorite summer activity is actually fishing and camping with my husband and family. So we're looking just for a brief 3 to 5 words, no explanation here, so we can move through introductions quickly. But I'm going to ask that you follow my stacking method. So I will call out your series of names, and then you can know what order to come off of mute and share your response. Let's start with Richard, then Candy, then Stephanie.
My name is Richard Sheriff. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Air Henry Community Health Center, and probably my summer fun activity is cooking.
Thank you, Richard. Candy, Stephanie, and Randa.
Hey, I'm Candy. I'm the Director of Population Health at DeSoto Regional in Mansfield, Louisiana, and my favorite summer activity would be going to the beach.
Thank you, Candy. Stephanie, Randa, Bill.
I'm Stephanie Patton with Delta Health System in Greenville, Mississippi, and I'm the Executive Director of Health System Development, and I'm with Candy. I like to go to the beach during the summer.
Thank you, Stephanie. Randa, Bill, Nikki.
Hi, I'm Randa Hitchcock, and I am the Executive Secretary for Administration and Nursing Administration at Baptist Health Stuttgart in Arkansas. And my favorite summer activity is just spending extra time with my daughter since she's out of school.
Thanks, Randa. We've got Bill, Nikki, Leah.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Bill Bridges. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Texas County Memorial Hospital. This may sound a little weird, but I like mowing my yard. Put on my headset and my music and just leave everything out and just go.
Not so weird, Bill. It sounds like my husband. Nikki, Leah, and Precious.
Hi, my name is Nikki Williams. I'm a community champion and network program manager here at Aaron Henry Community Health Center in Clarksville, Mississippi. My favorite summer activity would be barbecuing and anything associated with water. So.
All right, thanks so much, Nikki. Leah, Precious, Erica.
Hi, I'm Leah Williams. I'm the community champion at Atmore Community Hospital. And my favorite summer activity has been learning to play pickleball.
Thanks, Leah. Precious, Erica, Grayson.
Hi, I am Precious Fritz, and I am with the Center Program Specialist. My favorite summer activity is a nice cold drink on a patio or a porch in those warm summer evenings.
Thanks, Precious, Erica, Grayson, and Tabitha.
Good afternoon. I'm Erica Ledet, Program Specialist with the Center, and my favorite summer activity is taking road trips.
Erica, Grayson, Tabitha, Kelsey.
Hello, my name is Grayson Collins. I'm the community champion for DeSoto Regional Health Systems in Mansfield, Louisiana. And right now, my favorite summer activity is watching the Olympics.
Thanks, Grayson, Tabitha, Kelsey, Tara.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tabitha Jones, and I'm the community champion for Delta Health System in Greenville, Mississippi. And my favorite summer activity is to have a backyard barbecue with family and friends.
Thanks, Tabitha, Kelsey, Tara, Stacy.
I am Kelsey Mashburn. I'm the community champion for Baptist Health Stuttgart in Arkansas, and my favorite summer activity would be going to the beach and spending time with family.
Kelsey. Who do I have next? Tara, Stacy, and Kelly.
My name is Tara Hervey. I'm the Director of Social Service at Tallahatchie General Hospital and Extended Care. My favorite summer vacation is, like I said, barbecuing and hanging out with family.
Thanks, Tara. Stacy, Kelly, Robbie. Stacy, are you here? You might still be on mute. Stacy, we'll come back to you, but we cannot hear you if you're talking. So you might want to check your audio settings. So let's go to Kelly, Robbie, and Breja.
My name's Kelly. I'm the marketing director and community champion at Allen Parish Community Healthcare in Kinder, Louisiana. And my favorite beach activity, or it's probably the beach. My favorite summer activity is the beach.
Thank you, Kelly, Robbie, and Breja, and Jamie.
Thank you. My name is Robbie Nato. I'm the Senior Program Coordinator at the center with the CCC team. And my favorite summer activity is going to concerts.
Thank you, Robbie, and Breja, Jamie, Travis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ambrisha Johnson-George. I'm a senior program specialist with the Center on the Community Care Coordination team. And my favorite summer activity is anything water related. So water parks, going to the pool, anything of that nature.
Thanks so much, Ambrisha. It looks like Jamie dropped off. So Travis.
Thanks. I'm Travis Beck. I am a trainer and facilitator with my fellow Hugh Life colleagues, and my favorite summer activity is traveling.
All right, thank you. And Stacy, can you try your audio once more, or at least can you put your response in the chat, and then maybe Robbie, would you be able to try and help Stacy get video, even if you have to pull her into a breakout room? All right, still not hearing you, Stacy. So try and utilize the chat for now, but it'll be really important that we get your audio working. If there is a call-in number, so if you need to call in separately to get that audio, it should connect you that way as well. All right, we're gonna keep going forward here. Hopefully Stacy can join us. Thank you all for sharing those favorite summer activities. It's hard to believe that fall is just right around the corner. So hopefully you all soak in some more sunshine and get to spend a little bit more time in doing and enjoying those favorite activities before the seasons change. So our learning objectives, we're going to take just a moment here. Could I please get a voice to jump in and read the learning objectives out for us? Who could volunteer to read those out?
I'll read them. I'll go, Megan.
Thank you.
Learn how to maximize capacity of collaborations with community partners. Identify the why that brings people to the table and helps them engage. Understand different levels of involvement that can be used and leveraged to strengthen community engagement.
All right, thanks, Randa. So before we dive into those why statements, are there any questions at all about our learning objectives or what we're going to be doing today? All right, hearing none, I would like to hand it over to Travis to start diving into that why.
Thanks, Megan. We're going to spend the next chunk of our time together exploring the why behind your work, with the idea that why is what inspires people. Individuals are inspired to follow because they want to rather than because they have to. And the material that we're going to be talking about is based on Simon Sinek's work, from his book, Start With Why and Find Your Why. So if you want to dive deeper down the rabbit hole with this material, you can check out those books. When we start by stating our why rather than what, it sounds a little bit different and is a little bit more compelling and engaging for people. The example that will be lifted up in the video we're going to watch here shortly is Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. And if he had started with, I have a plan, rather than I have a dream, what difference would that have made in how people were compelled to follow and jump on board? And it probably wouldn't have been as inspirational if he had led with, I have a plan, instead of I have a dream. But he shared what he believed in and helped people feel compelled to join in that march on Washington in 1963. They joined because they shared that same passion, that same set of values and beliefs, and they were compelled to go there for themselves, not so much for because of who he was, but for the vision that he crafted and the why and the purpose that he laid out for all of those people who were drawn to that and joined in that march on Washington. They came for the why rather than the what and the how. So we're going to take a few minutes and watch a video that will explore this a little bit more and outline these concepts a little bit more, and then we'll reflect on that together.
All right, so here's where all right.
If you already subscribed to the free productivity game.
All right, thanks, Megan. I'm going to give you just a few moments to think about a word or an image that stood out to you from that video. And we'll go around, and I want to hear from everybody. What's one word or image that stood out to you from that video? So I'll give you a little bit of time to think, and then we'll start with Jamie, then Ambricia, and Robbie.
I don't think Jamie is here anymore.
Yeah.
So go ahead and.
Perfect. Thanks, Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Ambricia, whenever you are ready, you can kick us off.
Perfect. Well, I would say plan versus dream definitely caught my attention at the beginning.
Thank you. Robbie, then Kelly, then Stacy.
What caught my attention is the word impact. That's something I've been thinking about a lot lately.
Thank you. Kelly, Stacy, Tara.
Yeah, well, you took mine. Mine was also impact, just because of the influence that you can give to people with that. So.
Stacy, Tara, Kelsey.
And the thing that caught my attention the most was the drawing of the friends, kind of like leaning back on that. I'm complete.
Thank you. Tara, Kelsey, Tabitha.
What caught my attention was impact too. It helped me to think about how does my facility impact its community? What are we giving to make people want to come to our facility, or what we can offer and how we are impacting their lives?
Thank you. Kelsey, Tabitha, Grayson.
Impact most definitely, but also the word challenge, because if you don't have a challenge, then you can't impact someone else with that challenge.
Tabitha, Grayson, Erica.
Theodore Roosevelt. When we are born with a reason why. So it pretty much go back to impact.
Thank you. Grayson, Erica, Precious.
I'd say impact. I've always thought of it as like a ripple effect, you know, a stone that's thrown into a pond, it ripples out. much further than that initial point. And so you don't know how many people's lives you can touch, and then they go on to touch 20 or 30 other people's lives. You don't know how far spread that could be. So definitely impact.
Erica Precious Leah Williams.
The words that that stood out the most to me was purpose. You know, just finding out and understanding what your purpose is important.
Thank you. Precious Leah Nikki.
Nietzsche's quote stood out to me because I enjoy his work. I thought it was funny because he's a nihilist, and even somebody who believes that can find purpose, right?
Leah Nikki Bill.
Mine was inspiration, because the more I talk to people in my community, it's kind of contagious that what I'm trying to inspire is catching within my community, and that's a good word for me.
Thank you. Nikki Bill Randa.
Actually, my words were impact, purpose, and it kind of reflected back to Mark Twain's quote regarding the two most important days, which were the day you were born and then the day you determine your why. And I kind of came up with a little saying that kind of, I guess, combined it, and it was like turning your purpose into your passion, which determines or influences your impact. So that's it.
Thank you. Bill Randa Stephanie.
I like impact and then also dream.
Thank you. Randa Stephanie Candy.
So I like the little drawing where he kind of felt defeated, you know, from giving the speech. And so he went back and kind of reevaluated and figured out, like when he found the tapes, I guess he kind of found a purpose, found his why, and gave him some more confidence to keep going, even though he may not have been the best at what he was doing.
Thank you. Stephanie Candy Richard.
I liked when they talked about what if Martin Luther King's speech would have started with, I have a plan. I've never thought about that, but that would have been completely different.
Thank you. Candy Richard.
Mine will be the Mark Twain quote as well. The two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out your why.
Thank you. And Richard.
My word is inspire. It just seemed to help challenge me as well as I'm dealing with other people's, because as I was looking at the Democratic Party last night with Kamala Harris and her vice president, it's sort of like how that inspired a whole turn of event for the Democratic Party.
Thank you. When you think back and reflect on the video, or could be even in experiences in your life, where have you been inspired? Where have you felt inspired? And this can be anybody.
I can go if it's. I'm usually inspired when I see people around me succeeding or excelling or celebrating victories. That inspires me to continue to progress as well.
Thank you. Let's hear a couple more examples. Where have you felt or been inspired?
I'll go. I think whenever I see somebody overcoming obstacles or barriers and on their way to success, that's inspirational.
Thank you. One more.
I'll go. I used to be a teacher, and just seeing the impact that you make on a child's life to better their education is something that has been very inspiring to me.
Thank you. Now I want to start having you think about a series of questions. And Megan, if you get a chance and can drop those into the chat, that would be lovely. So if you've got scratch paper handy and can jot down some notes on that, or if you want to pull up a Word document, a Google document, whatever is easiest for you, I'm going to give you just a few minutes to think about these questions. We're going to come back to them in more detail later. But think about what has led you to where you are in your life today. Think about the people who have made an impact on your life. Think about the events that have shifted your journey, the trajectory of your life. Think about the impact that those things have had on you. Just going to give you a few minutes to just start making some quick notes. And again, we'll come back to these in a little bit more detail later. But I want to give you a little bit of time to get those wheels spinning in your head a little bit.
Can you repeat that?
Yes, yeah, Megan's going to drop those questions in the chat. What has led you to where you are today? Who has made an impact on your life? What events shifted your journey? And what impact has that had on you? Give you a couple minutes to think about that, and then we will come back to that a little bit more later.
I am also going to drop the workbook into the chat in case you don't have it. Oh, it's not letting me. Let me try with the link.
Give you about another 60 seconds to just jot down your initial thoughts on those questions. All right, Megan, if you could put up the next slide for me, please.
Sure can.
Thank you. So we do a really good job of explaining what we do or even how we do it to other people. Sometimes when people ask me what I do, I might tell them I'm a church musician, but on the side, then I also do training and facilitation. Maybe that's interesting for people. Maybe it's not. If that resonates maybe with somebody, they might ask me for a little bit more information. But it takes some practice for us to begin to think in terms of purpose, to think in terms of why, and to start leading with that when we have those introductory conversations with people. I'm going to have you take that piece of paper, scratch paper, that Google Doc, Word doc that you were just making some notes on, and I want you to imagine you're meeting Megan or I or someone for the first time. You've run into them in the coffee shop, you've run into them in the grocery store, you want to make introductions. I want you to just write down sort of your typical way that you would do that, who you are and what you do. Take just a little bit of time, write that down on your piece of paper or in your Word doc or Google Doc. then let's hear from maybe one or two of you to just give us an example of how you typically introduce yourself.
Don't be shy.
I'll go. What I typically do is introduce myself as Leah Williams and tell them where I work, and tell them that what I am trying to do is help my community, and that I want to partner with people that has ideas and knows what the needs are, and that I'm looking for a strong partner that's willing to work with me and go the whole way to get needs met. And that's how I usually introduce myself.
Thank you. Let's hear one more example of an introduction.
I'll go. Oh.
No, thank you, Kelly. I was just going to chime in and say there's no wrong answers here. So
I was just gonna say, usually like just being very inviting, coming with a smile on your face, it's very more approachable than just being like negative, and just kind of introducing it like that and saying obviously what you do and what you want to become in the future, even in a sense, and seeing if they can help you with that, or if they can't, just give them what you want to do.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. If people ask me what we do at Hugh Life, I could say we're a training and facilitation company that uses participatory methods to create space for all voices to be heard. That's true, that's accurate. It sounds a little complicated for someone who doesn't understand the jargon. Maybe they want to learn more. Maybe if they've encountered facilitation before, they might ask me some more questions. But if I start with our why, if I say, at Hugh Life, we inspire action for the greater good of human understanding and engagement, that maybe piques their interest a little bit more. And they might say, oh, tell me more about that. Well, we offer training and facilitation services. Oh, okay, what does that mean? Well, we use participatory methods to create space for all voices to be heard and valued. I've crafted a little bit more of a story that's rooted in a sense of purpose and that sense of why. And it's a little bit different engagement with somebody than simply jumping out of the gate with what and how for people. So now I want you to go back to that introduction you just wrote down in your notes and think about pulling apart the what you do and the how you do it. The services, the products that you offer versus how you provide those. What sets you apart from other people, from other teams, from other organizations that do similar work? How are you offering those things differently than somebody else? So I want you to just make some notes a little bit on the what and the how, separating those two pieces out. I'll give you a little bit of time. We're going to get to why in a little bit. Right now, I just want you to focus on the what and the how. I'll give you a couple of minutes. All right, so we've had you reflect now a little bit on the what and the how. We're going to focus our attention now back to why and dive a little bit deeper into that. So I want you to look back at those questions that we already started having you think about. What has led you to where you are today? Who's made an impact on your life? What events have shifted your journey? What impact has that had? I want you to go a little bit deeper, jot down some more notes, maybe think about specific stories, specific encounters you've had with people. In a little bit, we're going to move into the breakout rooms, and you're going to be sharing some stories with your partner. So this is an opportunity to start writing down some more notes that you will use to help you share in those breakout sessions. I'm going to give you 5 minutes go deeper with these questions, jot down more notes. All right, yeah, hopefully you had some great conversations in your breakout rooms and some themes started to emerge from those stories as you were sharing. So our next step is to start working with those themes that emerged and craft some why statements. So that structure for the why statements is this format: to blank, so that blank. So you're going to think about what is the verb, the action that you do to create what impact? What is your contribution? What is the impact of that contribution? So let's think just briefly about that first fill in the blank, the verb. What is the contribution that you are striving to make? And here are some words to sort of get things percolating for you. You might say to engage, to enrich, build, connect, to bring together, to inspire, to trust. If you think back to Simon Sinek's example, his why statement is to inspire people to do the things that inspire them so that together we can change the world. So think about some of those themes that your partner wrote down. I won't have you jump in and share just yet. I'm just going to have you think to yourself, what are some of the themes that emerged for you? What kind of action can you put in that blank? And so then the next piece is that impact, the so what of that action. And you don't have to work on these in this order necessarily. If it's more helpful for you to start with the impact statement piece and then work out the action from there, whatever is going to make most sense for how your brain works, that's totally fine. We're going to give you some more time now to go back into those breakout rooms and sort of work this out a little bit with your partner or partners. Use the bottom of that Google document or Word document to start trying some things out. And so talk it out, see what starts to resonate with you. It doesn't have to be perfect today. In the book, Simon says this may take, days, weeks before you kind of get something that really speaks to you and resonates with you. So you may let this continue to percolate and ferment in your brain in the coming days and weeks. So this is just to kind of get a jump start on some language that starts to speak to you. So we're going to put you back in those breakout rooms to start thinking about those themes that you talked about, how that might be turned into an action to do this so that, and then what is the impact that you want to have as a result of that action. We'll have, how much time, Megan? 15 minutes?
15 minutes is what you'll get. So again, there's a couple examples. There's one on the screen right now. To live and share a life of continued growth so that we may overcome adversity and live a fulfilling life. Another example might be to empower youth so that they can empower themselves. So really dive in to what it is that you're trying to do so that what can be accomplished. All right. I'll pause just for a moment. Are there any questions before we move you back in with your partner? All right. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and send you in. All right. Travis, you're still on mute. Welcome back, everyone. Before we head into our break, just wondering if maybe we could hear from a few of you on what you have drafted so far for your impact statements. Again, these may change and shift over time, but we'd love to hear where a few of you are so far.
I'll go.
Thanks, Kelly.
We said to inspire people to engage in what motivates them in healthcare and life so that we can change and make our community a better place.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelly. And who was your partner?
My partner was Jamie.
Jamie. All right. And was that one that you crafted together, or was that just yours?
That was just mine. She also crafted one.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's hear from one or two more.
I'll go.
Thanks, Nikki.
One was to live life unselfishly while inspiring and connecting people and community so that we may help each other grow and reach our fullest potential individually and collectively.
That's great. Thank you so much, Nikki. Off to a great start. Anyone else want to share?
This is Richard. I did one on Stephanie, who's my partner in the room, and then we came up with, for her, through her 34-year journalism, I saw the healthcare need in my community. I transitioned into the healthcare to be a part of the solution.
Thank you, Richard. So continue to keep coming back to those when you feel inspired. Keep molding this into something that's going to be very meaningful for you, something that you can use to introduce yourself, to share with your communities, your networks, and people. And we're going to get into how we broaden that circle a little bit and who we tap into and why sharing these why statements might be so important to the work that you're doing when you are trying to bring other people in to engage with you. So with that, we are going to take a break. So go ahead and come back at 2:30 Central Time. So at whatever time zone you're in, you want to come back at 1/2 the hour. We'll see you then. Thank you, Robbie. All right, so what we're going to do next is move into our circles of involvement. So this really starts with considering the different ways that we work together. So words matter and they mean different things to different people. And when we talk about what we do and what we're asking others to come alongside us to do, the words can often get in the way of really understanding what it is that we're asking of people. So let's look at a few key words that people sometimes use interchangeably to define people coming together to share in the work. So could I get a volunteer to read for us those first two lines on the screen next to collaboration?
I can do it.
Thanks, Grayson.
Working together to solve a problem or to achieve a goal, and sharing of knowledge, expertise, and manual labor may be required.
Thank you. And how about, Grayson, if you want to just keep lending us your wonderful voice, how about coalition? What does it mean?
Exists to bring broader attention to a large goal that affects many stakeholders.
All right. And what do we mean by cooperation?
Refers to a process of working in unison to achieve an objective rather than to work independently to compete.
Yeah, thank you. So we look at these definitions to realize that the way people come to your work may be defined a bit differently. We really get to what drives them, and we need to be clear and understand their perception of the work that is to be accomplished. When we understand the why, which you all just did, others are coming to the table, it gives us some insight on what they are able to contribute and how we are inviting them to be involved. So we're going to work into our circles of involvement. So not only are there different ways in which we can work together, there are also different levels of involvement. We're going to spend some time talking about the 5 levels of involvement and the different values that each bring to the table. So as we go through this, I'm going to share a little bit of a story. So founders of the Hugh Life, Richard and Irina Fersman, years ago, they launched also a nonprofit organization, the time called Global Synergy Group. And one of their things that they were trying to launch, one of the programs was like a youth leadership exchange program. And it has grown over time. But really it started with bringing a group of kids from Ukraine over to the US, and then it would alternate back and forth every other year. The following year, then a group of US youth, so kids from the States here, would travel to Ukraine. And this way we can learn about different ways of government, different types of leadership, that they could then bring back to their own communities as they are moving into those future leader positions. How can they better their own communities? How can they be better leaders? And we can really learn from one another. The COVID kind of slowed things down for a few years, and then the war in Ukraine made it difficult and not necessarily a safe place for us to travel there, but it became more important than ever to be able to bring more students from Ukraine over to the US for this 5-week program. It is based completely on volunteers and donations received from local businesses, from individuals, families, but it is run all on donations and volunteer work. Last year, they were able to bring over 30 students from Ukraine for this 5-week program. And so I'll talk a little bit about how these circles of involvement kind of play a part in how that operation was able to grow and still be very successful. So the very center of the circle, you have the focus that brings you all together. This is your organizational why, right? The inner ring then is the core circle. These are people that do most of that day-to-day work and the planning and the facilitation of the project and the work that's being done. They're very involved in the development of the plan and its objectives. They see themselves as responsible for monitoring and coordinating various components of the plan and can almost always be counted on to step forward when needed. So this would be probably that core group, Richard and Irina, who first had this idea, developed that board, and really had all of these people really bought into what it is they wanted to accomplish. They developed the program, they developed the plan, they developed the criteria, and are really those boots on the ground doing all of that work day to day to make sure that this is happening. The next ring is the circle of engagement. These are people that are committed to the plan who can be called on to help with specific tasks at particular times. They are not the prime movers of the implementation effort, but are willing to assume their share of responsibility for aspects of it. They may or may not have been involved in the development of the plan, and they become increasingly more engaged in the implementation and the leadership, gradually moving into that core circle. So here's where the program really started to expand, right? So they started with themselves and the board and maybe a couple of volunteers to really help develop that plan, but as they we're looking at their circle of engagement, this might be some host families, other community leaders that were interested in helping with the development of the actual programming that was happening. I facilitated just a few months ago for this newest group that's coming over an action plan, where these were the volunteers that actually came and participated in doing that action plan, that they were willing to sign up for some specific committees because they wanted to actually be doing some of the work, maybe not overseeing the entire plan, but they thought, I've got some passion, some talents, some capabilities that I can lend to this work and help actually make it happen. All right. The next ring is the circle of champions. These people often hold positions of leadership in organizations and are or need to be really committed to the plan. They may or may not be involved in the daily activities of implementation, but are authorizers of and advocates for that effort. They are the cheerleaders who can appear when it's strategically helpful. They need to be kept informed of the big picture and where to plug in strategically without having to be involved in all of those really minute details. So let's just pause for a moment and show of hands. How many of you can identify a person that maybe fits into this ring, right? They can champion your efforts, right? So these might be investors, other program supporters, other leaders within the community, right? It might be somebody who oftentimes we call upon other might be city government officials, right? Where we want to take these students and have them spend the day at a local city hall, following around some different representatives, doing some programming there. When we talk about leadership, it might be somebody who has a training that they can offer, right? It might be somebody who is willing to lend their space for them to come in and do a tour of their building, of how they operationalize their organization and what they're doing. Not necessarily involved in all of those little, minute planning, like how are we getting them airline tickets and transportation and staying on host families, but I'm aware enough, I'm a champion that when called upon and asked, I can advocate for this program, and I'm there to step in and engage when called upon and needed, that I am a full supporter of the work that is being done. The next ring is the circle of information and awareness. So these people usually aren't very close to the plan or its implementation, but need to be kept in the loop as things unfold. They are able, because their positions and roles, to lend the support to the effort or to raise the questions about it and maybe slow it down, right? They might have some sort of expertise that they need to bring in and ask those questions that maybe those that are too close to the project, too involved, aren't thinking of asking. So these individuals will hear about the plan and implementation and draw conclusions based on what they hear, and may need some occasional visits and reports that allow them to see the value in what is happening and to have their questions answered. So for this You Lead program, these might be individuals, maybe some people who are helping oversee that the visas are all working out, right? Maybe we're working with somebody who's made a big investment in the program, but isn't necessarily there doing the work. They're not out there championing the program, helping find more funders or donations, but really want to just be kept in the loop as to how the program is progressing and what's going on. Right? There are even board members within Global Synergy Group who are wanting to be kept in the loop on things, but they're not necessarily part of this actual program that's taking place. So they would be someone that might be in that circle of information and awareness. And then the next ring is a circle of possibility. So these people are the ones that we would consider long shots or maybe wild cards. They wouldn't immediately be thought of as being related to the plan and its implementation, but who might just find areas of common cause with it. They may even be interested in partnering to be able to provide helpful resources or give it a boost in some way. These are relationships with people and groups that need to be explored, right? Without assuming that they will necessarily turn out to be supporters. It takes creative brainstorming to come up with this list. So really starting to think about, who isn't currently involved, that might be. And so some, research, might have to go into it. For example, with the You Lead program, it might be who are some other international leaders, who are some, embassy representatives that we could reach out to that might be able to help support us in what we're doing when we're talking about bringing a group of youth across international lines, right? Maybe we don't have anybody currently on our team or in any of these other circles, but there could be a possibility. So who do we need to start thinking about that we could invite in that could potentially move into future stakeholders, to move into future champions of our project? All right, so this is just another picture. This should be in your workbook as well. But when we think about circles of involvement and those key relationships, we're continuing to build our capacity, expand our reach. Not only do you have the 5 core circles, but think about all of those different sectors that you could be tapping into that maybe you aren't, right? Who's in the private sector? Right? Who are those volunteers that maybe you haven't thought of that could step into that space? Think about the public or informal sectors, maybe some just resource partners. Who are the beneficiaries of the work that's being done? Those practitioners. What about policy partners, right? And so we're going to have you get into breakout rooms. Once again, this time, the best we could, we paired you up champions with your supervisors, since you're working in the same area, same district, and we'll know some of the same groups of people and contacts. But you have a printed page in your workbook. I believe it's page 11. That should look just like this. And then we're going to also drop a Google Doc for you as well. Travis, do you have that handy? Do you drop that in the chat? Actually,
Yes,
I
I
got
can
it.
do that. I'll get that.
Okay. I'm gonna say I have it right here as well. Just couldn't find it. All right. It's like Travis and I both got in there for you. So, so you'll want to grab that Google Doc if you want to take notes in there. Again, make a copy of this so that you can use it for future planning. As you think about all right, Robbie, we'll take a look at this here in just a minute. As you think about the different community engagement events that you are working on, I know that some of you are a little bit further into this program than others, and so you might already have an idea of some projects you've already been working on or that you're already deeply involved in. So who is it that is in those different circles, right? So I want you to start to capture who are those organizations? Who are those different businesses? Maybe there's a department within your own organization that you want to call out. Is there a certain group of people? Maybe there are specific individuals, but just start brainstorming a list of who all of these people, groups, and organizations are, and then identify where on this they are in the circles of involvement, right? So is this person or organization in the circle of engagement? Are they maybe just in the circle of information and awareness? But maybe somebody that immediately comes to mind that isn't currently involved that you could put into that circle of possibility. And we're going to explore the circle of possibility a little bit more deeply in the next section. But for right now, just start to really brainstorm who these individuals are. So I'm going to pause before we open those rooms up and ask, what questions do you have maybe about any of the different circles, the different levels? It's also in the document as well. There's definitions for each of these, but what questions can we answer? All right, well, I'm not hearing any, so we are going to give you not a lot of time, about 8 minutes in your breakout room just to start generating and brainstorming. Let's go ahead and all right. So the next thing, well, let's back up just for a minute. I'd love just to hear maybe from a few of the breakout rooms. Could you tell us a little bit about maybe a project that you're working on or just the work that you're doing and where you started identifying some groups? So just 1 or 2 teams. What'd you work on?
Well, Tara and I are both still working on our, we haven't had our Community Connect event yet. So we were talking about the people that we needed to invite to this event that were in the different categories so that they could help spread the word to others. And that's what she and I were talking about and working on together.
Okay. And so where were you seeing some people fall? Like what circle were you seeing some starting to identify some folks?
Well, with the core circle, we've got our hospital personnel because they're the ones that are helping us to plan everything and get the event going. And then our circle of engagement, we had the sheriff's office and the police departments because they know what's going on in the town and would be able to help us kind of steer things into the direction that we needed to go. Then the champions, we worked on the mayor, the Chamber of Commerce, some of the school personnel, so that they know what's going on and can cheer us on and help us to see which directions have been tried and what hasn't been tried. And then the circle of possibility, we got the city council, and the one that really needs to be in the know is the secretary of the mayor and the city government, so that she can tell us what everybody's doing and make sure that they get notified as to what's going on with what our projects are.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Leah. Anyone else want to just share with us what you're working on and who you've identified as some of those champions?
Well, Tabitha and I are also working towards the Community Connect event, but she's pretty far along. She's already sent the invitations out and got a lot of RSVPs. So we just kind of looked at that list to see where those folks fall. And then we had a discussion about some of them can kind of fit in more than one category. You know, it just depends on what role they play. But we were able to identify, kind of like Leah was saying, that our staff, hospital staff, are the core circle and circle of engagement. And then when we start branching out into the administrative roles, the CEO, board of trustees, they're the champions. And then some of them are information and awareness. And then our elected officials that are coming to the community event, we thought some could be champions and some could be information and awareness.
Right. Thank you so much. So keep thinking about those community connect events, because that's going to be huge. But as you keep expanding on other work you're doing, other projects that are coming up, other ways that you're engaging your communities, this is a tool that you can come back to each time to really identify, you know, who's at the table, who is yet to be invited, and who have we not even thought of yet that really should be invited in. So our final thing here is to really challenge yourself a little bit more, and this should be in your workbook on page 12, I believe, but we don't have a Google Doc for this one, so you can grab a piece of scratch paper or turn to that page 12 in your workbook, but really start to think about those people in that circle of possibility, okay? Those that you may have overlooked or have not taken the time to engage with. So what are some of the questions that we could ask them, right? Is who do you wish to have more engaged, right? What is the challenge that they face? How does their why align with yours, or maybe the why of your organization, right? And how will you approach this sector? So again, challenges with why haven't you been able to maybe reach these people? And then what are some strategies? Try to really get creative in your thinking about what are some of those strategies to overcoming some of these challenges, right? How can you get to their why and what they believe? How can you start to create some alignment between your purposes and move these people from that circle of possibility a little bit more inward to get them more engaged? So you can revisit your why statements and think that might be their why statement as well. There might be some alignment there, but really think about where might that fit into your circles of involvement with the people that you're talking about, and then where are their why statements, so that you can see that. So we're going to just give you not a lot of time here, just about another 8 minutes to have those conversations about those individuals who that you placed in your circle of possibility, or maybe you're inspired in the moment and can think of a few other people that you might want to add to that circle, and then think through these questions, what those challenges are, and what are some of those strategies to overcoming them. All right. Any questions? All right. I'm going to send you back in. All right, well, thank you so much for all really leaning into these activities and engaging, either with somebody brand new or with your team member there at your organization. Hopefully this activity was really helpful for you to start to identify some of those people as you are planning those community connect events. And just so you know, you will see this tool pop up again in the future. I know this spring you'll have your community priority action planning, where you really will start to need to identify who those individuals are who are going to be part of actually doing the work, creating those action plans and implementing them. So you will see it come up again. So always, be thinking about who are those people that are in your corner that, you want to be able to lean into, who's on your bench that you can call upon when needed. And then always be thinking about that circle of possibility, right? As you are making new connections in your community, right? When you do your community connect event, look at the people that you are introduced to, who maybe you can pencil them in and keep them in the back of your mind as potential people to pull into these events in the future. So with that, let's do a brief reflection. Travis?
All right, thanks, Megan. We've done a lot in our session today, lots of content, lots of conversations with your partners today. So we want to spend about 10 minutes, not a real long time, just 10 minutes, reflecting on our experience, knowing that that's a crucial piece of how we learn, is reflecting on our experience. So I'm going to give you about 60 seconds to think about one tool, one conversation, one activity that you remember doing today. And I'm going to have you type that in the chat. Don't hit send yet. I'll give you a final little countdown and then we'll all hit send at the same time. So I'll give you about 60 seconds, one tool, conversation, or activity you recall doing today. Type it in the chat and I'll tell you when to hit send. My cat wanted to join the meeting today.
I was wondering whose cat was making all that fuss.
Give you a few seconds to finish typing. All right, on the count of 3, you can hit send. 1, 2, 3. All right, and take a little bit and scroll through the responses and just skim through what your fellow participants have typed in there. If you notice something that jumps out to you, go ahead and shout it out. What's something that jumps out to you from what people have shared in there?
I like the one about encouraging physicians to stand out in there and engage.
Thank you. Let's hear a few more. What else jumps out to you?
I would say everybody kind of mentioning the collaboration that's taking place.
Thank you. A couple more.
I think just the us being able to create our why statement in general, because a lot of us know what we're doing, but how many times do we actually sit back and really think about why? So I like that piece of just having that engagement to allow us to reflect not only on ourselves but other people as well.
Thank you. One more example. What's one more thing that jumped out to you?
I really think that with the reflecting on past experiences, scrolling it through there, I really liked that because they make us who we are and impact our why.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna hop in and say I really like this comment that Richard put in, the inspiration we give to one another. Because it's one thing for us to be inspired by the people around us, but to know that at the same time that we are inspiring others with what we are doing. So how are we really defining that so that we can continue to do so? So I love that.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. And what was a high point for you today? Anybody can answer this. What was a high point for you today?
Mine was talking to Nikki and Tara and realizing how similar our lives and backgrounds are and how similar our goals and problems and are as well. We seem to have a lot in common for us to be in different areas.
I will agree with that as well, Leah. Me and Tabitha were paired together, and we came to the conclusion that we were put in the breakout session with each other for a reason today.
I will third that with, I was in a breakout session with Grayson and just how similar our healthcare systems are, and plus our background and where we came from, just some of the stuff that we experienced was very similar. So it was very, very enlightening, and I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. What was a low point for you today?
For me, it was finding out how much I still have to learn, and seeing where I'm at now and where I need to be in order to do what we're here to accomplish.
Thank you. A couple more. What was a low point for you today?
I would have to say, I guess like having to talk about and like expressing our events that have happened in our past life to someone else that we don't really know, but then at the same time it turned around to being a good thing.
Thank you. One more.
Technology not always working the way that we want it to.
Thanks, Megan. What is an aha moment that you had or a key insight you had today?
Just the tools that we use, that you all gave us to categorize the community resources that we're planning on bringing aboard with this project. So knowing which one, or learning a strategy to see which one fits into what category. So it's like, oh, okay.
Nikki pointed out to me that my life was completely opposite of what my professional life was. I was able to see that my family took me in one direction, where my experience in my prior job showed me how families could go in the complete opposite direction, and they have so much influence on you. And I hadn't really looked at it that way. So she helped me to see that.
One more.
Well, probably one of the things was looking at the many different ways that we can collaborate and help people engage in the work that we're doing.
Thanks, Richard. All right, what's one thing you are committed to doing in the next week to apply what we've worked on today?
I think Tabitha and I are pretty motivated to figure out how we can engage the our positions in African American males in the community. We just got to figure out how what they're interested in.
Thank you. Somebody else, what's one thing you're committed to in the next week?
They have your attention.
Thank you. One more. What's one thing you're committed to in the next week?
Working on my in-person visits.
Thank you.
Yeah, mine is like really just buttoning up the list of people that we can engage into our Community Connect event, and like Leah said, getting out there and talking to everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you all for spending this time with Megan and I. And Megan and I will be seeing, I'm sure, some of you in the next few weeks as we continue to look at conversations that matter in some of the sessions in those next few weeks. And at this point, I think that's all we have, and I can pass it back to Robbie or whomever is on for closing us out.
That is me. Before I share my screen, I would like to launch our post polling, which is 3 questions. Should see that pop up soon, hopefully. Our homework. So I have some homework for you for the mandatory Q&A review on August 20th. Please come prepared with a PowerPoint presentation, Canva, of your why statement. We want you to make it fun. We want you to make it you. If you need it to be in branding, make sure it's in your branding, anything like that. This can be a rough draft. It does not have to be perfect. We're not aiming for that here. We just want you to flex your presentation muscles and work on your why statement. Please also bring your workbook, to the Q&A session as well. And we have some upcoming events. Again, that mandatory Q&A post-learning review on the 20th. We also have on the 13th, 15th, 27th, and 29th, our 4 sessions of Conversations That Matter. September 10th and 12th are review mandatory Q&As for CTM for short. We also have the Grant Writing Institute in New Orleans on September 16th and 17th. And then on the 17th and 18th, we will see you at the summit. Again, we have Q&A times Tuesdays at 10, Thursdays at 9. Stop by if you have any questions, comments, concerns. You want to just talk through anything with us. You can always reach out to us by email, by phone, anything like that. And then we just want you to connect and introduce yourself to your partners in your community. I do also have an evaluation link for us. We just want to gain some feedback about how the session went. And I will send this out in an email as well. If it wants to copy for me. It does not want to, so I will send that out in the email, and hopefully we can get responses from that. And again, just a reminder, please join all of the learning collaboratives and boot camps, anything that we do virtually from a personal computer to ensure full participation capabilities. And then our contact info. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we are happy to help. And I will stop sharing.
And yes, you all will receive this recording. I also want to let the supervisors know, of course, we would love to have you on the 20th for the mandatory Q&A, but it is not mandatory for you all to come, only the champions. You all are invited. Please come, share with us, but it's not mandatory for you all to attend.
I just got one question.
Of course.
On the summit, isn't the date the 18th and the 19th rather than the 17th and the 18th?
18th and the 19th. Sorry about that.
Sorry, that's my bad.